Hello everyone, welcome to MeanLab Studies. In this video, we are going to discuss one more problem as part of Python Data Engineer interview question series. That is question number 4. What is a list comprehension in Python? And explain it by writing a code. List comprehension is nothing but it's a concise way of creating a list by writing a single line of code. Okay. First, we'll see what is a list. So list is one of the built-in data structures in Python that stores multiple data types and it is a mutable data structure, right? So now I'm just creating a list having different numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right, so you can create any list you want. Okay, so this is the list we are creating. But what if you want to create a list having numbers starting from 1 to up to 10,000? So it will take more time, right? So to create manually, so that's where we'll be using a logic, right? So how we can create a list having 1 to up to 10,000? So you have to write a logic, right? So let's create. I'm just creating answer equal to empty list, and then I'm just iterating through for I in the range of by using range function 1 up to 10,001, right? So because of it will range, I mean, it will be taking the iteration value from starting index position like 1 up to 10,000, right? So now you can see here, I'm just printing them, print of I comma end equal to nothing, right? You can see now. So if you, even if you have a separator, you can just mention comma. Now you can see it's printed up to 10,000 value. You can see now here it's printed up to 10,000 value. You can see here starting from 1 up to 10,000 printed. So now if you want to create a list, how could I do that? So you have to add all these elements to our given empty list, right? So I'm just using append method, append of I. Now you can see we appended each and every element from this range to this answer, right? So now if I return answer, that's going to return list of numbers starting from 1 up to 10,000, right? So this is the technique that we can use to create a list of numbers, right? So even if you want to take any small range, you can see here I'm just taking up to 11. Now you can see it's created, I mean, it's creating list having range from 1 up to 10, right? So this is how you are creating a list by writing a loop, right? For loops and all. So now what we are going to do, even if you want to filter out this data, how could I filter? Like, so if you just return only even numbers from the given list, how could I do that? So let's see here. For I in answer, so if I is divisible by 2 equal to 0, then only I'm just, okay, for that I'm going to taking one more answer one, or you can see even. Okay, even equal to empty list, and then we are appending each and every element of I, because of only if that I value is even, then only we are appending it, right? So now you can see here, and now if I print even, that's going to print only even numbers. Similarly, if you want to print odd numbers, you can also just mention like this. So that's how it's printing only odd numbers, right? So now, so whatever the requirement you want to create a list, you are writing a logic by using a for loop and all. So therefore, you're writing a multiple lines of code, right? So rather creating, I mean, rather using a multiple lines of code, you can also create the same list in a single line of code, and that is list comprehension, right? So let's see that now. So now how could I do that? So in a single line, so I'm just creating a list. So that's why I'm just opening a list. Now I'm just taking the expression. So whatever the expression that we want to create, I'm just using x for x in a. So what is a? This is the list, right? So we have considered now. So now if I print like this, you can see here. So whatever a is here, exactly we are printing, and you can mention it another name, b equal to something. You can see now. If I print b, that's going to print b value. Same thing, right? Same, whatever a is there, it's printing. Now we are going to print even numbers. So now even equal to, now what do we have to do? So I'm going to print x for x in a if x is going to divisible by 2 equal to 0. Now you can see even will be printing all even numbers only. You can see here. So 2 is even, 4 is even, right? So that's why we are printing only even numbers. Even if you want to print odd numbers, you can see here odd equal to x for x. So this is the expression. Whatever the expression you want to create here, you can mention it, no problem. And then you are taking the reference of this element from the given list, whatever the list that you want to refer. For x in, you can see here I'm just using a. If I use R, that's going to print all elements because we have not used any condition, right? Now you have to mention if x is divisible, not divisible by 2, right? So now not equal to 0. You can see now it's printing only odd numbers, right? So similarly, even if you want to print a list of numbers ranging from 1 to up to 10,000 in a single line of code, you can see here. So x, so this is not even like x, this is just a variable. You can mention anything where in range of 1 up to 10,001, right? So now you can see it's printed. So let's see here, I'm just using any other variable u equal to something, right? So now I'm just using printing u. You can see here. So let's see here, u of 10,000. It's, you can see here list. Oh, okay, 10,000. You can see, so 1000 is returning like this. Let's see here, if I use 1001, you can see list index out of range. Why? Because of, let's see here first, what is a list? Like print of u. Okay, we'll see u dot length, sorry, length of u. You can see here, so 10,000, right? So now, why it is not returning? Like I'm just using 999. You can see here, because of it, this index position value is 10,000. So that's why even if you try to do like 10,000 or something, it's returning out of index. I mean 10,000 out of index. Okay, you can see here. So it will be ranging up to 1 up to 9,999, right? So you can see here. So even if you want to see 0, you can see here, right? So this is the ranging from 1 up to 10,000. You created the list of numbers starting from 1 up to 10,000 by using a single line of code, right? So even if you want to create like here, now I'm just filtering out all numbers from this u list. So I'm just returning only even numbers from the given u list. Okay. So x, or you can see here, you can mention anything, even for even in u, if even divisible by 2 equal to 0. You can see here all even numbers only printing, right? So you can see here, if I mention EV, okay, so now length of EV, it will be returning 500. I mean 5,000. We are taking 10,000 now, so that's why 5,000 are even and remaining are odd, right? So let's see here. Even if you want to return any expression value, also you can mention I into, or you can see here I'm just using multiplication of I into I for I in U. You can see here. So each and every value is returning squared value, right? So let's see here. If I take A, you can see here A is this one, and for each and every value you are returning squared value. So whatever the list you want to have, you are creating with help of single line of code, right? So you can mention any expression you want, and if you want to store, you can store in another variable, right? So you can see here u. Okay, I'm just using y for y in A if A is less than 4. You can see here, what is this error? So here, what you have to do, you have to check with the this element, not with the this one list, right? So you have to check with y. You can see here. So whatever the element that you are taking from the given list A, you are checking this condition and you are getting it, right? So similarly, whatever you want, I'm just using I plus 10 for I in A. Okay, you can see here, for each and every element you are adding 10, right? So similarly, whatever the expression you want to have here, you can mention it, no problem. Okay, so otherwise you can also mention square. Okay, for I in A, if I is divisible by 2, you can see here you will be getting only even number squares. So if I mention not equal to, that's going to return odd number squares. Okay, so this is how list comprehension will help us to create a list of any condition we want. Okay, I mean any list we want to create, we can create by writing a single line of code. Okay, that is list comprehension technique. I hope you understood. Thank you.